Welcome to Garden Plants with Jim Putnam. Let's talk Emerald Snow Loropetalum. So I've been in this business for a long time, and when I first started, pretty much all Loropetalum were green with white flowers and got 25 feet tall, and I mean really grew very quickly. And then the emphasis really became purple foliage Loropetalum. So there's just lots and lots of named varieties of purple foliage Loropetalum, and they've been dwarfed down. And so it's kind of exciting for me to have this Emerald Snow Loropetalum, which is a dwarf green variety, because I've always loved the kind of two-tone thing you get from these green Loropetalum, where you have this beautiful dark green foliage, and then the new foliage is a much lighter color on it. And then the white flowers really pop against that. We're filming this here in September, so there's not a lot of white flowers, but it's amazing that it is flowering. This thing will repeat flower on cool nights in the fall, but in the spring, and early summer, it just turns solid white. Emerald Snow will reach around 4 to 5 feet in height, 4 to 5 feet in width. That's going to be the tagged size. It's going to get bigger than that. I mean, you know, evergreen plants like this are going to continue to grow if you don't prune them, but this one is very easily maintainable at that size. And you can really see in the branching here, you get lots of lateral branching, or branching that comes up and then weeps down. So you don't have on a lot of the other Loropetalum where you get the 3 and 4 foot vertical spikes on it that you're having to prune them constantly just to keep it looking good. This one is kind of more self-maintaining while it waits for you to come along and prune it later. You know, the branches are weeping down. Loropetalum are in that witch hazel family, and witch hazel, you know, has those little frilly little flowers on them that hang down like this. Distilium is also in that family, but Distilium doesn't express the flowers as well as Loropetalum does. So Loropetalum has this witch hazel-like flower. It's not fragrant like on a witch hazel, but they are really interesting, like little spiders on them. And you'll see most of the time you're going to have pink or reddish pink flowers on them, but again, this Emerald Snow has the white flowers, and I really love it. It's super showy. Again, you're looking at this in September with just a few flowers on it. When you see this thing just solid white, it is really amazing. For sun or shade, I think the more sun, the more compact this variety is going to be. So you can put it in part sun, you'll get some flowers on it. It'll probably be slightly thinner than this. This one was amazingly transplanted in peak summer from across the path. It was across the path from where it's sitting right now. It was dug out of the ground in the 95-degree weather, moved over here, pruned back about a third, and watered maybe twice, and it's come back out of that and it's blooming. That's how tough these Loropetalum are, and all that was done in the full sun. These are hardy in zone 7 to 9. I would think that if you're in zone 7A, I would spring plant Loropetalum so that you get a season under them and they don't get, you know, because they'll get stung that first winter pretty badly. Once they're woody like this one is, they get pretty thick. They're very hardy even in zone 7A. Emerald Snow would be the perfect plant on a sunny foundation if your windows were up in that 4 to 5 foot range. You just kind of have to analyze that, you know, based on your foundation. It could go in between some spaced out windows as well. A perfect plant if you have a narrow space along a driveway where you have like a 5 foot section between you and a neighbor. Be kind of the perfect plant to line up along on the driveway. I like it as just a specimen plant, just one piece right here. I've got some other, you know, flowering annuals planted on one side of it. I've got a couple of other evergreen things nearby it, and it just looks great by itself. The spot I had it in wasn't big enough for it. The spot we've moved it to, we can really allow it to take its natural kind of weeping semi-dwarf shape. Loropetalum is considered extremely deer resistant, rabbit resistant, all those kinds of things. It's also very soil resistant, meaning, you know, whether you have sandy soils or clay soils, whatever kind of soils, they don't really care. I don't really think about Loropetalum very much when I'm planting it. I do mound them up just a bit so I don't end up overwatering them, and they wouldn't want to go in a space that stayed wet, especially in the winter time. I can't use the water in the winter time, so if you think it's that kind of space, it's probably not ideal for your Loropetalum. Just a sunny spot, mound it up a bit. I don't even know that you need to amend the soil for these. They're just really, really easy plants. I keep the ground covered in mulch. I keep the weeds away from it, and it just kind of does its thing. This will get fertilized once a season for me with an organic fertilizer in the late winter. Loropetalum do have a tendency to wake up a little too early. There are some leafy evergreen plants that do that. Distilium do the same thing. And this entire family, witch hazels bloom super, super early in the season. They're just smart enough to do it without leaves so they don't get hurt. But all of these, so don't push them with fertilizer too early in the season. Otherwise, again, you get a lot of growth on them. It can get stung. Typically won't kill them, but it will set them back a few weeks. They can be pruned after their spring flowering. And you can prune these about as hard as you want to prune them. What I typically will do on a shrub that I'm trying to keep it just in this even weeping habit is I'll just take runaway limbs off of it. And I can do that any time of year. General pruning after it flowers in the spring, crazy limbs just anytime they need to come off. Once it's in the ground, you'll need to water it occasionally like you would anything else. Once it's established, these are extremely drought tolerant. I mean, an established Loropetalum in an area that gets kind of average normal rainfall where you don't have months that you go without rain, really they just don't need a lot of ongoing watering at all as long as you're keeping the ground covered in mulch and it's not, not on a slope or something like that. I don't think you need any, ongoing watering once established. So as you can tell, Emerald Snow Loropetalum is just one of my favorite plants out here in the landscape. It's performed extremely well. This one was in the ground about 1.5 years over there and then got abused and moved over here, came right back out of it. It's kind of hard to miss with this plant. And if you got a space that you can allow something to get about 4 to 5 feet by 4 to 5 feet and blooms a couple times a year, Emerald Snow Loropetalum. Thanks for watching.